What's up, guys? It's Ty here, and today I have the Week 9 college football recap, and I'm pretty happy this week, guys, and I'm sure you guys know why. Jake, if you watch this video, I'm sure you know why too. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but hey, so I had some Thursday night action here, and Toledo, baby, 4-0 in the MAC, 7-1 on the season. They actually were losing 7-3 after one, but then they started rolling. They ended up winning 58-17 against Ball State, who's not very good, but Terry Swanson had 105 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Deontay Johnson had 170 yards with 2 touchdowns. Logan Woodside only threw 8 passes, but 3 of them were for touchdowns, and he had 267 yards. Hashtag Heisman. No, I'm joking. Stanford here traveled to Oregon State, and they almost lost. I mean, Bryce Love was not in this game due to an ankle injury, but still, you shouldn't barely be beating the 1-7 Oregon State Beavers. They win by 1 point. Stanford gets out lucky. They move to 5-1 in the Pac-12. Northern Illinois beat Western Michigan to stay 4-0 in the MAC. I really wish Eastern Michigan would have pulled that off, but it was a 30-27 victory in overtime for the Huskies. The Huskies. I do know that. DJ Brown, though, had 104 yards and a touchdown in the air. So there you go. Georgia State picks up their 4th win on the year. They beat South Alabama 21-13. No real crazy stats there. And we'll move on to the Friday games. Number 24, Memphis. They moved to 7-1 on the year as they beat my Tulane Green Wave. Pretty sad, but whatever. 56-26. Pretty crazy game, I guess. Riley Ferguson, 18 for 31, 298 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This was a little bit shocking, but I kind of expected an upset, but not in this proportion. The Boston College Eagles murdered the Florida State Seminoles 35-3 in Boston College. What a game. A.J. Dillon, 33 carries, 149 yards, and a touchdown. This is Boston College's 3rd straight victory after starting 0-3 in the ACC, really making a push, and Florida State is now 2-5 for the first time in like 38 years. I think it was 1979. SMU barely escapes against Tulsa here. They move on to 6-2 on the year after they outscore them 10-0 in the 4th right there. D'Angelo Brewer for Tulsa had 156 yards and a touchdown in the air. All right, guys, now on to the Saturday action, and you see it. I see it. The Ohio State Buckeyes, 6th ranked in the country, beat the Penn State Nittany Lions 39-38. Wow, what a game. Penn State came out surging as Saquon Barkley ended up returning a kick the first play of the game. Okay, there's a place for Pittsburgh called Permane Brothers. You probably heard of it. I'm in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, my heart sank. I'm like, oh my God. Penn State was up 21-3 at one point, but it was 35-20 at the start of the 4th quarter. Ohio State, they fumbled, but then they blocked the punt. They ended up scoring a touchdown, and we ended up outscoring the Nittany Lions 19-3 in the 4th. Role reversal from last year, and we ended up picking up the victory. J.T. Barrett was 33 for 39, 328 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He was 13 for 13, 170 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. He came up clutch. I was so freaking happy. Ohio State ends up picking up the victory. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm sorry, but it was a really great game, man. But hey, OH, you know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm saying. All right. I thought this game would be a bit closer. It wasn't. Yeah, Georgia rolls against Florida 42-7. Jesus, oh my God. Sonny Mitchell, 6 carries, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Florida fired their head coach Jim McElwain, and yeah, Florida really not good at all this year, and it's kind of weird to see Florida not be good. I'm not used to that whatsoever. Now on to another big game here. The Iowa State Cyclones upset the Horned Frogs of TCU 14-7. Wow. I kind of thought, I had like an itch that Iowa State could win this game, but they actually did. They actually freaking did. They're 4-1 in the Big 12. They're 1 loss, or no, they're 6-2. Their 1 loss to them was coming from Iowa. They should be 7-1 right now, guys. Iowa State should be 7-1. TCU gets their first loss on the season, proving that they're not as good as we all thought. Wisconsin moves to 8-0. They're undefeated. They beat Illinois 24-10. I mean, nothing really crazy. Wisconsin stays undefeated, but they have an easy schedule. I'm sorry, Wisconsin Mike. In the primetime game, which is utter BS because it should have been Ohio State, Penn State, in my opinion. But Clemson ended up toppling Georgia Tech here 24-10. Kelly Bryant is back. Glad to see that. Don't want to see someone hurt. That's never good. He had a great game, though. 22 for 33, 270 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Clemson is 7-1. Miami getting lucky once again. They beat North Carolina, who's now 1-8. They beat them 24-19. Miami gets by again, and they're so lucky. Malik Rozier is not that good, even though the stats look like they are. But 16 for 38, that's not good. But 356 yards and 3 touchdowns is pretty good. So I don't think Miami's that good, in my opinion. But hey, there were a lot of great matchups this week, honestly. A lot of top 25 matchups, which is really nice to see. Notre Dame ends up beating NC State here 35-14. At Notre Dame looking strong. Josh Adams looking really strong. 27 carries, 202 yards, and a touchdown. He is looking great, and Notre Dame moves to 7-1 on the year with that lone loss to being to number 2 Georgia. Don't forget about that. Texas Tech here loses to the Oklahoma Sooners 49-27. It was a 20-14 first quarter. Geez, but then Oklahoma just rolled after that. Rodney Anderson had 24 carries, 181 yards, and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 9 receptions, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Oklahoma State beat West Virginia in West Virginia 50-39 in a high-scoring affair here. Oklahoma State now 7-1 on the year. I thought this would be an upset game. James Washington keeps up his great season. 7 receptions, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, there we go. Washington ends up beating UCLA 44-23. Myles Gaskin, 27 carries, 169 yards, and a touchdown. Not really much else to talk about in that game. The same can be said about this game as Virginia Tech moves to 7-1 on the year as they beat the Duke Blue Devils, who've lost 5 straight games after starting 4-0. They lose 24-3. Upset alert here. Arizona, who is surprisingly 6-2 and 4-1 of the Pac-12. Don't forget about that. They beat the Washington State Cougars, who are now 7-2 on the year. They've played 9 games already. Wow. 58-37. Talk about a high-scoring affair. Tyler Helinski from Washington State. I don't know what happened to Luke Falk. Maybe he got hurt. Maybe that's the reason they lost. I actually don't know what happened to him. 45 for 61, which actually is really, really good. 509 yards and 2 touchdowns. Holy crap. J.J. Taylor, though, 13 carries, 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Khalil Tate, though, he had himself like 100 and something rushing yards as well. He keeps up his great year. And Arizona really doing well. Maybe they'll be ranked soon. Another upset. Man, there's so many good matchups this week, but I was so gravitated towards the one that we won. You guys know which one that is already. Northwestern upsets the Sparties here in triple overtime. Wow. They beat Northwestern beats them 39-31. Brian Lewerke, 445 yards, 4 touchdowns. Cody White, 9 receptions, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But it didn't matter as Northwestern upset Michigan State. They play Penn State next week. They're going to be mad. Both teams are going to be furious. That game should be a really nice game. Ohio State plays Iowa. I am deathly terrified to go to Kinnick. I am like really scared. You guys don't understand. And finally, another thank you, Houston. Hashtag thank you, Houston. South Florida finally loses. They'll never see the top 25 for this year ever again. Thank God. Quentin Flowers, I hate you. No, you're so bad. Freaking thank God Houston beat South Florida. Don't want to talk about them. Don't have to talk about them in the top 25 ever again because they're never coming back. Let's go. Well, Central Florida had themselves a game. They played Austin Peay, who's a FCS school, but still, 73 points scored by the freaking Knights. The Golden Knights, sorry. They gave up 33, but still they scored 73. That's amazing. But, Mackenzie Milton was on point. 24 for 26. You can't get any better than that. 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. USC bounces back here. Arizona State, their luck runs out here against USC. It was at Arizona State, too. They beat them 48-17. Sam Darnold, 19 for 35, 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dang, Ronald Jones, 18 carries, 216 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's all the top 25 matchups. On to the MAC matchups. No, I'm joking. Akron ends up beating Buffalo by 1 point, 21-20. Akron 4-1 in the MAC, with that lone loss being to the Toledo Rockets. Emmanuel Reed, 28 carries, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Buffalo, but it was not enough for them to get the victory. Michigan, who's trash, they beat Rutgers 35-14. Brandon Peters actually ended up playing that game. I guess they sat Josh Corn 10 for 14, 124 yards and a touchdown. Not bad. Karen Higdon, 158 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Good game from him. It looks like Arkansas here beat Ole Miss 38-37. Ole Miss was up 31-21. There's a crazy comeback, I guess. They won by a last-second field goal. They outscored the Rebels 17-6 in the second half. And a good win for Arkansas. Both teams 1-4 in the SEC and 3-5 overall. The Baylor woes, man. Baylor's 0-8. Will Baylor go 0-12? I highly doubt it. They play Kansas, so that should be a fun game. I still don't think Baylor should be 0-8. They're not as bad as 0-8, but they're not that good. I mean, when you lose to Liberty, I mean, that was such a long time ago. But Texas moves to 4-4 on the year. 38-7 victory. Not much to talk about there anymore. Yeah, Wake Forest beats Louisville, man. Louisville looks like a real good team one week and a real bad team the next week. It's just kind of like, whatever. Wake Forest finally gets a victory again. After starting 4-0, they lost 3 straight, but they finally pick up another victory. Almost a late surge by Lamar Jackson, who had 27 carries, 161 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But John Walford was 28 for 34, 461 yards, and 5 touchdowns, with Greg Dortch 10 receptions, 168 yards, and 4 touchdowns. They were virtually impossible to stop. What a freaking game from the Demon Deacons. Hey, the Pitt Panthers, when their second straight game, they beat the Virginia Cavaliers 31-14. Fun fact, I was actually at this game. It was freezing. We had seats right in the front, though, so I got to see this game. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm going to Pitt next year, so yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Darren Hall, though, I saw this touchdown, 25 carries, 111 yards, and 1 touchdown. Also, this was my first college game I've ever been to, and it was the first time ever being at Heinz Field, so because I'm from the Pittsburgh area, so it's pretty cool. Colorado beats Cal. Man, Cal also looks like a freaking powerhouse one week, and then they lose to Colorado, but it was at Colorado. Ross Bowers, 29 for 52, 359 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Nothing much to talk about there. Florida International beat Marshall. No, Marshall lost. No, it was a 41-30 game. They really dumped 28-7 after one quarter, or after one half. Nothing much you can do about that. Thomas Owens with 7 receptions, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This game was closer than it actually should have been. Kansas State beats Kansas 30-20. Alex Barnes, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground for Kansas State. And then Steven Sims Jr., 233 yards and a touchdown on 9 receptions for the Jayhawks. Pretty good game right there. Air Force beats Colorado State. They're giving them their first loss in the Mountain West. It's actually kind of surprising. I thought Colorado State would roll in the Mountain West. Michael Gallup, 7 receptions, 161 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Dalen Dawkins, 141 yards on the ground with a touchdown himself. In a battle of the 1-7 teams, BYU gets their second win on the year. They beat San Jose State, the 1-8 San Jose State, 41-20. Not much really to talk about that game. Yeah, Georgia Southern 0-7. That's it's tragic. Troy beats them 38-16. Again, not much to talk about this game. UMass in double overtime beat Appalachian State. That's actually a big upset. That's their second win in a row. UMass is going 6-6. They're getting to a bowl game. Quote me now. Nah, that's a lie. Marquise Young, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great game from him. We got a lot more games left. Geez, we're going to start flying through these games because they're really irrelevant, honestly. La Tech, Louisiana Tech, whatever you want to say. They beat Rice 42-17. Boston Scott, cool name. 87 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Really good game from him. Maryland ends up beating Indiana here. Indiana's 0-5 in the Big Ten. Wow, it doesn't feel like that. They really played great against all Big Ten teams. 42-39 victory for Maryland. Simikov Jr. had 138 yards and 2 touchdowns for Indiana. South Carolina surprisingly 6-2 on the year. They beat Vanderbilt, who's 0-5 in the SEC as well. It really, again, doesn't feel like they're 0-5 in the SEC. 34-27. Great win from South Carolina. I mean, they beat NC State earlier in the year. Don't forget about that. Don't know how to say these names, but these guys had some great games. Florida Atlantic beat the Hilltoppers from Western Kentucky 42-28. Devin Singletary, 36 carries, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground. I guess you could call that a good game, but I think no, that's a great game. Wow, that is absolutely insane. Idaho beats Louisiana Monroe 31-23. No real crazy stats right there, but there they are. Oregon gets a victory here against Utah. Utah crumbling, man. They're going downhill. 41-20 victory. Royce Freeman had 139 yards on the ground. Texas State beat Coastal Carolina in the battle of 1-6 teams. They beat them 27-20. Coastal Carolina's got a teal freaking stadium, guys. They have teal turf. That's freaking amazing. I kind of want to I want to play with Coastal Carolina now. I'm just saying. That's pretty freaking cool. Missouri beat Connecticut. Wow, that's cool. 52-12. There was a safety. I mean, that's cool, I guess. Drew Lock, 31 for 37, 377 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Wow, cool. Good job, Drew Lock. You can't play against real players. I'm just saying. North Texas beats Old Dominion 45-38. Nice. Iowa picks up the victory against Minnesota in Kinnick. Oh, God, they're rolling now. 17-10 here. Minnesota 4-4 on the season, 1-4 in the Big Ten. No bueno. UAB beats Southern Mississippi 30-12. To probably a safety again. Spencer Brown for UAB, 33 carries, 209 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Really good game. Mississippi State really getting back on track here. They beat Texas A&M 35-14. Nick Fitzgerald, he had a good game on the ground and in the air. Josh Allen finally had a good game, 16 for 28, 234 yards, and 4 touchdowns as Wyoming rolls against New Mexico 42-3, anchored by a 35-point second quarter. Holy freaking moly. Kentucky beats Tennessee as Tennessee is now 0-5 in the SEC. They beat them 29-26. Benny Snell Jr. for Kentucky had 180 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Nebraska barely beats Purdue here. They beat them by 1 point, 25-24 in Purdue. Stanley Morgan Jr., 6 receptions, 112 yards with a touchdown. Tanner Lee, I guess, found Morgan for the game-winning touchdown. Good win for you, Tanner. I'm proud of you, man. Good job, Cornhuskers. UTSA beat UTEP, making them 0-8. We're sorry, Miners. 31-14. Arkansas State stays undefeated in the Sun Belt. They win against New Mexico State, 37-21. Okay. Oh, Justice Hansen had 297 yards and 4 touchdowns. Good game for him. UNLV beat Fresno State. Okay, that's actually surprising. I thought Fresno State would win that game. First loss for them in the Mountain West. We're moving on. Boise State beat Utah State 41-14. No real crazy stats here. And San Diego State finally gets another win. They beat Hawaii 28-7. Rashad Penny with 30 carries, 253 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. All right, well, that is all of the games. Let's check out the AP polls going into Week 10. But we know the AP polls don't matter because the first college football playoff rankings come out this Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And it's going to be really sick because I want to figure out where my teams are. Hey, I actually guessed. Oh, the disrespect. All right, we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so Alabama, obviously number 1. They had a bye week, but it's Alabama, so they deserve it. Georgia moves up to number 2. Ohio State jumps up to 3rd, which I agree with, honestly, because Wisconsin has not played anyone. I'm sorry, Wisconsin Mike. I'm just saying. Wisconsin at 4. Notre Dame at 5, jumping not only Clemson and Penn State. Don't believe that. I feel like it should be Penn State, Clemson, Notre Dame. That's just my opinion. But it goes Notre Dame, Clemson, Penn State. Oklahoma moves up to, they're now 8th. Miami moves down, even though they're undefeated, but they barely get wins because they're not that good. They're 9th. TCU moves down 6th. They're 10th. Oklahoma State, Washington, and Virginia Tech all stay the same. Iowa State, with their great victory, they move up 11, and they are now 14th in the country. Wow, Iowa State. Central Florida moves up 3. They're 15th. Auburn back in the mix. They're 16th. USC moves up 4. They're 17th. Stanford up 2. They're 18th. LSU 19th. NC State moves down 6th. They're 20th. Mississippi State back in the rankings. They are 21st. Memphis moves up 2. They're 22nd. Arizona, I kind of foreshadowed it. They are now 23rd in the country. I actually did not know that at all. Michigan State moves down 8th. They're 24th. And Washington State hanging on by their chinny chin chins. They are now 25th. And South Florida drops from the rankings. They're never coming back, even though they're the next team up. And West Virginia also dropped from the rankings. Other teams, so there's South Florida, Michigan, who probably should be in. Toledo, baby, they're third. Toledo, hashtag ranked Toledo. Hashtag ranked Toledo. Next week, guys, they'll be ranked. Quote me now. West Virginia, South Carolina, San Diego State, Army, and Boise State all getting votes. So, guys, if you went on to enjoy this video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube. If you haven't already, it's Tyler signing off saying, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Have a good one. Later.